And here's the question many ask themselves when considering this Nordic paradise: are they open to foreigners? Does warmth find a place in this land of calm? The answer, my friend, is it depends. And this is where Finland tests you, but also rewards you. In Finland, don't expect the effusive warmth, the tight hugs, or the instant intimacy you might be used to. Finnish culture highly values privacy and authenticity. But what does exist, and in abundance, is curiosity. A genuine curiosity for what is different, for what is new, someone who presents themselves as polite, who respects their personal space, and this is absolutely fundamental, and who shows a genuine interest in the local culture has a much better chance of winning the favor of the Finns. And, perhaps, yes, something more. It doesn't happen overnight, and don't expect them to share personal confidences in the first conversation, or the second, or maybe not even the third. The average Finn, and Finnish women in particular, are not ones to disclose personal details to strangers. They need time. Time to observe, to trust, to feel that you are there with good intentions and that you offer something beyond a pleasant smile and a different passport. You need to demonstrate depth, interest in their world, in their history, in their art, in their way of life. That you're not just there for a fleeting adventure, but for a genuine connection, built on respect and reciprocity. This is the first layer, the initial test. And it's just the beginning in a country that, as you will discover, is full of contrasts and unwritten rules that are rigorously followed. Now, imagine what it's like to live in a place like this. Safe, peaceful, full of reserved people, but with an enviable quality of life. But does all this coldness also hide pitfalls for those who come from outside? Is this perfection just an illusion? Let's now unravel the practical challenges of adapting to this reality. The first thing a newcomer notices upon arriving in Finland is something almost unbelievable: the feeling of absolute security. You walk the streets late at night, you see bicycles parked in the open, without a lock. Young children go to school alone, completely at ease. And your mind, accustomed to a different reality, screams, "This can't be real." It's like a movie. But it is, my friend. It's Finland. The crime rate here is one of the lowest in Europe, perhaps the world. The number of thefts, robberies, and assaults is minimal, almost insignificant. And when they do occur, they are generally resolved with an efficiency that would make you weep, without the endless bureaucracy with which many are so familiar. But wait, Finland is not a fairy tale without dragons. Even in a paradise of security, there are small traps for unsuspecting visitors. In very touristy areas of Helsinki, like the famous Senate Square or the surroundings of the South Harbour, there are reports of overcharging by unofficial taxi drivers. It's not common, but it has happened that an unsuspecting tourist pays triple the price for a ride that would normally cost only a few euros. The golden rule is simple: always use official apps like Bolt or Uber, or rely on public transport, which, by the way, is wonderful. Punctual, silent, clean, and efficient, like a Swiss watch. Another issue that can take people by surprise is hidden prices. In some bars or small immigrant markets, especially near port areas or train stations, the price of a product or service may not be clearly displayed. It only appears at the end, after you have consumed, and it can be an unpleasant surprise. More impulsive people, accustomed to a go-with-the-flow attitude or to clear price displays, can easily fall into these traps. So, here, attention to detail is crucial, but there's a fascinating curiosity: direct approach scams, the kind you see in other European countries where people approach you on the street to sell things or try tricks, practically don't exist. The Finns are too discreet for that. They won't try to aggressively deceive you in commerce. However, the cold, not just of the weather, but also of the cultural distance, and the silence can be the biggest obstacles, especially for those expecting a warm reception and instant friendships. Finland is a country that won't deceive you in commerce, but it can deceive you in expectations if you arrive emotionally unprepared. But if you know how to play the game, the reward is immense. If you've made it this far, it's because you want to know what really matters: how much does the dream of living in Finland cost? And, more importantly, can an ordinary person really adapt to this first-world reality? The currency used in the country is the euro. And yes, at first glance, the numbers can be daunting. But wait. The high cost of living is accompanied by an infrastructure that delivers on its promises. Here, you pay a high price, but you receive quality and efficiency in return. Let's get to the practical numbers. In Helsinki, the vibrant capital, a simple one-bedroom apartment rental in the center can cost around €1,200 per month. If you move a little further from the center, the price drops to around €900. A larger, two-bedroom apartment can easily exceed €1,800 per month. But here's the detail that changes everything: most salaries keep up with these costs. The average net monthly salary in Finland is around €3,300. Of course, not everyone earns this, but the average already shows that purchasing power is high. Even those earning minimum wage can still afford to live, eat, and have a quality of life that, for many, would be a dream. And public transport? It's a marvel. For about €70 a month, you can use trains, buses, trams, and subways at will. Everything is punctual, silent, and clean, as it should be in any civilized place. And groceries? A basic shop for 2 people, including fruits, vegetables, rice, meat, and dairy, costs about €300 per month. Of course, this varies according to your lifestyle and culinary choices. Now, the point that takes a huge weight off your shoulders: health and education are practically free. The public health system is efficient and of high quality, and education, from primary to university level, is excellent and at no direct cost to citizens. This means that one of the biggest financial burdens that many families face in other countries simply does not exist here. Working in Finland as an expatriate generally requires knowledge of the Finnish language. Yes, it's a challenging language, but not impossible. However, in areas like technology, engineering, scientific research, and tourism, English already opens many doors. In short, with preparation, study, and determination, it is indeed entirely possible to live well, save money, and build a dignified and prosperous life there. The dream of a stable, high-quality life is real in Finland. The first thing that strikes anyone who arrives is, once again, the silence. Here, no one shouts on public transport. No one honks impatiently in traffic. No one invades another's space with unnecessary noise. Respect for the collective is almost sacred, a non-negotiable value. The Finns are known for valuing introspection. They speak quietly, avoid prolonged eye contact, and don't start conversations for no reason. But this isn't coldness. It's respect. And when you break that initial barrier of discretion, which requires patience and good intentions, you discover a polite, honest, and surprisingly welcoming people. Another curious and enviable point: free time here is sacred. The Finns make a point of having their moments of calm, especially in contact with nature. Many own cottages in rural areas, where they fish, pick mushrooms, or simply listen to the silence of the vast forests. It's a ritual of reconnection. The relationship with time is also different. Here, everything runs on time, without delays. If you schedule an appointment for 9 a.m., they will be ready at 8:59 a.m. And waiting more than 2 minutes for someone is already seen as disrespectful. Punctuality is a cardinal virtue, and the food? Simple, healthy, and practical. They love fresh fish, dark and substantial bread, potatoes, and wild berries picked in the forests. And coffee. Coffee is almost a religion. Finland is, by far, the country that consumes the most coffee per person in the world. They take their coffee seriously. Now, a little-known curiosity that reflects their social care: the Finnish government sends boxes with clothes, diapers, and essential products to all expectant mothers. A tradition that began in the 1930s and demonstrates their care and investment in the foundations of society, family, and children. And what about foreigners? They greatly respect people's spontaneity and friendliness, as long as that spontaneity is accompanied by politeness and respect. Friendly, discreet individuals who are genuinely interested in the local culture are generally very welcome and manage to build lasting friendships. Those who arrive wanting to make excessive noise or impose their way of life, however, tend to be ignored or, at best, observed from a distance. The truth is that, despite seeming reserved at first glance, Finns truly value those who respect their rules, their space, and their precious silence. And it is exactly there that connection, friendship, and perhaps love begin to flourish. Now, the burning question, which this video promised to answer, is it worth living in Finland? The answer is more complex than a simple yes or no. Living in Finland is like existing inside a Swiss watch. Everything works, everything has its time. Everything has its place, its order. The country offers one of the best education systems in the world, efficient public healthcare, almost absolute security, and a stunning nature that invites peace. But before you get too excited, it's crucial to understand that the coldness here isn't just in the weather. It's also in the lifestyle. Loneliness can be intense, especially during the long, dark winter days when sunlight is a luxury. And the silence, as poetic as it may seem, can become an overwhelming burden if you are not emotionally prepared for it. Adaptation can be a gigantic challenge, especially if you come from a hot, noisy, vibrant country full of constant human interaction. It's not just the language that is difficult, it's the way of thinking, the time it takes to build true bonds, the slower pace of social connection and friendships. Furthermore, the cost of living is, indeed, high. Everything is organized, everything works, but nothing is cheap. And to truly live here with quality, to feel a part of it, it's essential to speak at least basic Finnish, or you will always feel like an outside observer. On the other hand, if you value impeccable security, stability, a deep and daily connection with untouched nature, an excellent education for your children, and desire an environment that respects your space and your individuality, then yes, Finland might be exactly what you're looking for, perhaps the greatest lesson this country offers. The world is that happiness is not about shouts of euphoria, constant noise, or exaggerated public displays. True Finnish happiness has to do with the peace of living without fear, with the silence that calms the soul, with the certainty that tomorrow will be better, or, at the very least, just as good. It is a discreet, deep, lasting happiness. So, now I want to know from you, would you dare to embrace this unique lifestyle? Would you move to Finland in search of this silent happiness? Comment below. Your opinion gives meaning to this channel and helps us bring more content that makes you think, and if this content held your attention until the end, if it made you dream or simply reflect, don't forget to like, share with those who dream of living abroad, and, of course, subscribe to the channel. This greatly helps to spread videos like this and show that, yes, it is possible to live better, in ways you may have never imagined.